Welcome to the Scream of Consciousness podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Rollolazo, also known as Rebs. If you are new here, welcome. If you are not new here, welcome back. I have been on a little bit of a hiatus since October and wanted to talk a little bit about that, but more so of just like a reintroduction of who I am, why we're here, why you're listening to me, what we're going to do on this podcast and all the things. But to get into a little bit of backstory about, yes, who I am. I am a 32-year-old nobody. No, I am just 32-year-old average gal. I'm a straight over here, which I don't know, maybe that's boring, but I'm engaged to my lovely producer, Anders, who is sitting over in the corner right now. He's waving. I am a cat mom to the lovely Moo, Hilton Moo. He is sitting over here to my left. And I live in Atlanta and been here pretty much my whole life, but I'm an only child and I've always talked to myself, loved talking to myself, gotten used to talking to myself. And so I thought, way back in 2016, kind of when podcasts started hitting the scene, I thought, you know what, that's something that I want to do someday. And then I ended up meeting Anders and he had a podcast of his own, all of the experience, all the gear. And so it just kind of made sense. And so 2 years ago, we started the podcast and 42 episodes later, we've had so much fun, but it is time to give the show a little bit of a facelift. And we're not going to do anything crazy, but there's just been some life changes in the last 2 years that have changed how I view myself, how I view where I want to go with the podcast, and just kind of evolving. And I think that's really reflective in my personal life too. And so we're going to make this fun. If anything, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a break from, your normal 9 to 5 or, whatever type of job that you work, or just a break from, the craziness of life. We're going to have fun on here. Also going to talk about some deep shit on here. So, Scream of Consciousness, what does that mean? This is a podcast where I'm going to talk about kind of everything and anything. I don't think it's going to be about anything specific per se, but more so what's on my mind. What is important to me? What do I want to talk about? What is silly one day? What is sad one day? It's sort of a representation of what's going on with me, but I think it's also everyone can resonate, I think. I think everyone can resonate to an extent where there's a lot that we go through during the day, a lot of emotions, a lot of experiences, interactions, everything. And so being able to interview people on here or share my experiences or anything is what is really important to me. The human experience of just being a human and living. That's what I want to explore on this podcast. Being young, being old, being single, in a relationship, exploring, your, gender, all of those things, anything and everything will be talked about on this podcast. And so, I would like to try and keep it to maybe a focus of 1 to 2 topics in the future for one episode, maybe than just a million different things going on in my brain all at once. But again, I want it to be representative of me, and the real me is there's a lot of shit going on in my brain all at once, all the time. So, we'll see how that goes. But really, I really want this podcast to represent and stand for and to create this open space for conversation. What does it mean to be a human? So that's what's important to me. That's where I want to take this podcast. So unemployment, where do we begin? Why am I here? I have been struggling with mental health for the last couple years and have experienced a lot of loss. And so I have been struggling, and I haven't taken the time for myself with work that I had needed. I worked in a intensive corporate environment for about 10 years. This was not what I initially thought where I was going to end up after school. I'm thankful for the stability and the friends and a lot of just business experience that it brought me. However, I knew there was going to be a point in time where this role, this type of job was no longer going to serve me and what was important to me. And so to get more aligned with what I wanted to do, what was making me happy, and what was ultimately a factor in my crippling mental health was work. I needed to cut out this type of environment. It was not working for me. My cortisol levels were out of control. I had to go on an antidepressant and anti-anxiety medication. And it's still, I'm still working through a lot. And I know that's not a magical pill, but I knew that work was something that had to be cut out. It was something that I found myself complaining about a lot. And I realized that no one else was complaining quite as much as me. And I'm actually not even a complainer. And I kept it very close to my circle of who I would kind of vent to. And I realized I am the common denominator in this. Sure, there are some people who aren't, super happy about their job, but no one is as unhappy as I am. And that is something that only I can fix for myself. And so after talking through this in therapy and a lot of work, it was a challenge. Being somewhere for 10 years, you have a lot of loyalty. I really enjoy the people that I worked with. It's not easy to ever have the quitting conversation. And this was really the first time that I had to seriously have it. And so I'm thankful for the support and grace that I was given in this. But what was important to me was getting out of an environment that was ultimately turning me into someone who I didn't want to be. And I realized I had been choosing my unhappiness for some time. And there is, I believe, a scale of, or maybe not a scale, but unhappiness. There becomes this line of when you begin to actually choose the unhappiness. And so I had definitely hit that point, and I said, time to go. And so I have been unemployed for about 5 weeks now. And to say that it has been just the most amazing thing in the entire world would be a lie. Do I feel validated that it was the right decision in quitting? I do. I really do. And do I have any regrets about it at this point? I do not. However, knowing that I was going to quit, the goal was to be able to alleviate me of this work stress so that I could tackle the personal. And I'm starting to really feel that it's like that chapter of me in this corporate Rebecca is kind of dying in a way, and that chapter is getting shut and needs to be shut. And I just felt this outer magnetic pull almost telling me that this has to be done. This chapter has to be closed, and you are being shoved. I'm going to shove you into something else, whether you like it or not. And so I think that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I'm working through therapy and healing through a lot of the personal struggles, which I don't know if I will share those ever at any point. We'll see. But I definitely needed the time to recalibrate. And I think it's really important for everyone to step away from work to be able to recalibrate, because there's so much personal trauma. I say that. There's a lot of personal things that we endure on a daily basis. And it is important to be able to have more than just the weekend or a few days whenever your days off are, if you even have any days off, to be able to reset and just focus on you. So important. So the burnout was incredibly, incredibly real. I am ready for new beginnings. I now know, and truly am like understanding of, I am the only one that is holding myself back really from anything. When I realized that I wasn't handcuffed to a job, there was a lot of freedom in that feeling. And there's a lot of scariness around that too, because it's like, oh, now I can go do anything I want to do. Okay, well, what's that? I'm a personality type that is very much a go-getter. I don't think I'm someone who could not do anything. I find a lot of value and get a lot of like intrinsic value out of working hard, like for me. And so, yeah, I am excited to pour my, energy into this podcast. And what my goals are is to really make this happen. I want to make this happen. And I'm so thankful for everyone who has listened and, been able to follow me kind of along this journey so far. It's only going to get better from here. I've got a team of incredible people who are helping. It's going to be so freaking fucking cool. It's going to be so fucking cool. I cannot wait to show you guys what we have kind of been working on in the background. And I hate that, we've been working on some things behind the scenes, but there have been some really cool things that I've been able to do in this free time, I guess you could say. But the most important thing is that I did get my finances in order. No, I'm just kidding. But I have had a lot of fun being able to be free in my own creativity and in my brain, and not feeling like everything I do has to have this level of professionalism to it or a filter on top of it almost. I'm excited to be able to take this energy and pour it into the podcast, into, this new me that I'm kind of rediscovering and finding. And it's so much fun. So much fun. So I've been crying a lot too. I've been crying a lot, and I wouldn't consider myself a crier. I actually rarely cry, but I think there's just so much changing, and there's a lot of things shifting right now that I can't help it. My body, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but if you're ever going through a really tough time where you're processing a lot of different things, I think my body, instead of normally harnessing that and trying to shove down those feelings and do away with them for now, put them on the back burner. I cry at everything and everything. I think I don't have the capacity in myself to hold on to that anymore, to hold on to to shove down anything. I think I just have to cry about it and then kind of move on from it. So that's been an interesting thing that I've found recently. So yeah, I feel like part of me is, I've been crying a lot. I feel like, this chapter of me is dying in a way, and I'm just excited to share with you guys. I've also been seeing a lot of angel numbers, which I don't know if you guys know much about angel numbers. It's helped me feel grounded in that I've made this right decision as well. I am someone who's a little bit woo-woo, not crazy woo-woo, more so because it's just a fun thing. Not because I think I tend to take it with a grain of salt, but it really is helpful sometimes when you're down to lean into the funness of a tarot card or a crystal or, something. But I've been seeing a lot of angel numbers lately. And it's really been helping me feel grounded and like, this is the right decision to really try to activate myself in this podcast. And this is what I enjoy doing. This is what makes me happy. So, it's very comforting and helpful. I see angel numbers probably 7 times a day now at this point. It's crazy. So power of manifestation, power of like thought and, stillness is super, super important. The universe will tell you things in different ways. And, I've tried my hardest to be still, so still to the point where I haven't even been able to do much reading. Reading is one of my favorite activities. I haven't been able to, I think, take in anything anymore right now in that realm. Just like how I'm crying out a lot of things, I'm having to cry and just kind of let them move through me and move on. So it's kind of in the same way. All this to say, we are back. We're going to roll out episodes every Thursday. We're going to start a new fun little type of episode that we'll share with you, but that will also be dropped on a weekly basis. So we're going to be dropping 2 episodes on a weekly basis, which is very fun. I'm excited for. Thank you guys so much for your support. It has not gone unnoticed, and I cannot wait to share episodes with you guys every single week. So thank you so much, and see you next time. All of that to say, thank you guys so much for all of your support. It has not gone. All that to say, thank you guys so much for all of your support. It has not gone unnoticed. Wow. Okay. Thank you guys so much for your support. It has not gone like I